I mean, these countries require the healthcare providers in very large number, but they want to make sure that the service providers do have the necessary skills and capabilities, and for which, I mean, they have laid down certain norms and standards in the form of the national occupational standards, which we were not talking about until very recently. So what is happening is that overqualified candidates in large number are often found seeking jobs in the lower rank of services. So this is all insofar as the first introductory part is concerned. But if you look, how have we handled this aspect of development? Development of skilled human resource as a part of school education. In fact, it was visualized through vocationalization of education even during the colonial period. If you thumb through the Sadler Commission's report of 1919 or the Sargent Commission report of 1944, you will find that both these commissions had made appropriate references to this aspect in their respective reports, but with no outcomes of any kind. And some of the recommendations that they had made have not lost their relevance even in today's context. If you look at the modern Indian educational thinkers, including Rabindranath Tagore, Swami Vivekananda, Dr. Radhakrishnan, Professor Kothari, Professor Mudaliar, they all had advocated for giving vocational orientation to education in their own ways. Even the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, was a great champion of skill-based education. If you look at his thoughts on skill education, you would find that they have been unswervingly resonated in almost every single policy document which we have brought out, I mean, either in the form of commissions reports or in the form of committees reports during the post-independent period. Formal skilling of human resources has been the endeavor of the country since 1952, when Mudaliar Commission recommended introduction of multi-purpose system of education by converting 10-year high schooling to excuse me, 11-year higher secondary schooling. Excuse me, along with the introduction of vocational courses after grade 8. And as a result of which, I mean, we still have those 4 institutions which were greatly admired. They were named as demonstration multi-purposes higher secondary schools. And, and they were attached with the regional colleges of education at Bhubaneswar, Bhopal, Mysore, and Ajmer. They were considered to be the laboratories for the regional colleges of education, which subsequently were renamed as a Regional Institute of Education under the aegis of the NCERT. So diversification of education sorry, into academic and vocational streams as a part of a school education was conceived after grade 8 by Mudaliar Commission in our country. Later on, the Education Commission suggested the national system of education, that is 10 plus 2 plus 3 pattern for the national system of education, and recommended diversification of education into academic and vocational streams after grade 10. See, why I'm telling you is because we need to know what have we done in our feeder cadre, which is the school education for all the higher educational institutions. The the Education Commission, the Education Commission emphasized the diversion of 25% of students into vocational streams at the school level. The national education policy, which we brought out after Kothari Commission in 1968, made a major recommendation to make work experience and national services as an integral part of education. And later on, the National Policy on Education 1986 recommended introduction of vocational education as a distinct stream after the secondary stage of school education. Of the two important recommendations which the NP 1986 made, one was to provide generic vocational programs which cut across several occupational areas, and another was to ensuring vertical opening for the school graduates at the post-secondary level, which did not happen until 2013 in our country, actually. That was one of the major reasons for the failure of vocational education in our country, because if someone has opted for a vocational program at the school stage, her education or his education would come to a grinding halt after +2 because there was no vertical opening available. I mean, though we had made that kind of recommendation way back in 1966, but it did not happen. Uh, Somehow, I mean, the outcomes of the recommendations of the earlier policies have not been close to being good enough because of the failures in their implementation. Later on, I mean, we have also reiterated it in the National Knowledge Commission. So it became a practice that we started reiterating and endorsing the earlier recommendations in each and every successive commission or successive committee reports. But it has not met with any success story. Why has it not met with the success story? I mean, there might have been some reasons. So let us know what are those reasons. I mean, there are plethora of reasons, but I would like to highlight at least 6 or 7 of them, which are very prominent. One of the reasons is the status perception of vocational education, which has remained very weak in the minds of the school-going population, in the minds of the parents. It was considered as a substandard education, and people were not motivated. They were not encouraged. They were not made aware by the system about the prospects of about the significance of vocational education. So as a result of which, they always thought that I mean this is a very substandard thing insofar as acquisition of education is concerned. And the second important reason has been that the schools were not equipped effectively to offer vocational courses, except those relating to secretarial practices, stenography, typing, and those kinds of things. And the third thing has been that the teaching learning materials were not available in regional languages. We were talking loudly at the national level, but we did not care. I mean, insofar as the development of the teaching learning materials are concerned. And the fourth major reason has been that no formal teacher training was provided to the teachers to run vocational programs. We thought that the regular teachers would be able to handle the vocational courses without any orientation. And Another important reason for its failure has been that the Apprenticeship Act, which we brought out, did not recognize the vocational programs offered in a school with those offered in ITIs and polytechnics. And I mean, one important reason I have already talked about, that there was no vertical mobility for vocational pass outs, which created a serious handicap, except in a few states which provided little entry to these students into engineering programs, those who were doing the diploma programs from the ITIs and the polytechnics. Another major reason for the failure of this program has been that skill development program of the central government have been spread across 15, 16 odd ministries without any proper coordination amongst them. These were the major reasons actually. And I think I missed one very important one, that another problem has been that large number of people um, are engaged in the unorganized sectors. And because of that, it becomes difficult to map existing skills in the unorganized sectors and gauge the skill requirements. The relevance of vocational education, if you think now, I come to the third part, it will continue to rise in times to come, as I am telling you that skilled workers are required all over the world, and there is an acute shortage of skilled professionals at the lower level, at the middle level, and also at the higher level. The focus of vocational education is to offer the should be to offer the youth with opportunities to choose programs of study in keeping with their aptitude, interest, and abilities. This would obviously increase their employability, which would in turn provide the society with personnel having a wide spectrum of knowledge and hands-on experience. It also aims at the reduction and elimination of frustration among the youth, resulting from non-productive and aimless pursuit of academic education. I mean, so the point is that we need not just literate youth, but arm them with the skills which can fetch them gainful employment across the globe. This would require acquisition of skills and competencies comparable with the international standards. We have never ever cared for that. And as our economy and industry grow and will continue to grow, there is likely to be an imminent shortage of skilled human resource. And as a country endowed with the huge human resource, we cannot afford to let this be a constraint. Earlier things, of course, have not gone in the desired direction, but this time the opening, as envisaged in the National Education Policy 2020, must not be allowed to slip. The development of the National Vocational Education Qualification Framework in 2012 and its revised version in the name of National Skill Qualification Framework in 2014 provides a good opportunity, a good platform to implement the recommendations of the National Education Policy 2020. Some of the basic work is already in place. You only have to revisit it for the purposes of creating some more levels in the National Skill Qualification Framework, where we already had the 10 levels. Level 1 to 4 corresponding to grade 9 through 12, level 5, 6, and 7 corresponding to the 3-year undergraduate program, level 8 and 9 corresponding to the master's level program, and level 10 at the PhD program. Those were the levels envisaged, visualized in the National Skill Qualification Framework. But now, in the light of the new intents expressed in the national education policy, we need to revisit it, and we need to create some more levels of the national skill qualification framework. Knowledge and skills are essentially required for diversity of employment needs in the services, in education, in healthcare, manufacturing sector. And the target group for skill development comprises all those have already entered into the labor force and those who are likely to enter into the labor market for the first time. India, at present, is recognized as one of the youngest nations in the world. We have been talking about it for quite some time. It is estimated that soon we will have about 20% of the world's total workforce, which is a very large number. In order to harness the full demographic dividends, what we need an educational system which can not only guarantee access to quality education at an affordable cost, but also ensure flexibility and relevance to the individual's economy and to the society as a whole. It becomes all the more pertinent under the present circumstances when the job creation has been going downhill and people are required to have skills either for self-employed jobs or to transit from one set of job into another set of job. I mean, realizing this, the government of India brought out the national policy on skill development in 2009, which was revised in 2015. The policy has made certain provisions, in the form of the national resource institutions known as the National Skill Development Corporation, the National Skill Development Agencies, which were impressed upon to rejuvenate and synergize skilling efforts across the states in collaboration with the private service providers. The national policy on skill development aims to provide an umbrella framework to all skilling activities which are being carried out within the country and to align them to common standards and link skilling with demand centers. In addition to laying down the objectives and expected outcomes, the policy also identifies the overall institutional framework, which will act as a vehicle to reach the expected outcome. Policy ensures both vertical and horizontal pathways to skilled workforce for further growth. It operationalizes a well-defined quality assurance framework aligned with global standards to facilitate mobility of labor, and as a result of which we have come up with various sector skill councils. And these sector skill councils have been entrusted with the responsibility of laying down the national occupational standards. They have also been entrusted with the responsibility of going a little deeper into it by way of um, identifying the qualification packs. I mean, all of you would realize that in order to performing a specific task, there are various steps involved in it. And every single step becomes a part of qualification pack. And the summation of those qualification packs are visualized in the form of the national occupational standards. The policy has an ambitious plan to skill about 12 to 15 million youth each year. And as part of this policy and to ensure execution, The government of India set up these various national level resource institutions like National Skill Development Mission, the Coordination Committee, the National Skill Development Corporation, and the National Skill Development Agencies. I would earnestly request each one of you to look into this National Policy on Skill Development 2015, which will let you know what are the agencies which can be approached for the purposes of offering a particular program. If we do not have the capacity to visualize the national occupational standards, or if we have not laid down the international benchmarks in a particular domain of skill, then we can approach these agencies and we can ask them to help us lay down the national occupational standards and qualification packs for those programs. That is what is very, very important, and which is why I'm requesting you to go through the national policy on skill development. The National Skill Development Corporation has also tied up with a number of training providers. So tomorrow, if we wish to organize some kind of an orientation programs for the teachers, we can approach them and we can approach them and request them to organize the orientation programs for our teachers. So as per the provision of the policy, the these national level resource institutions are mandated to coordinate and harmonize the skill development efforts. These agencies are also entrusted with the responsibility to operationalize the national skill qualification framework. They they will they have also created a dynamic labor market information system, which is known as LMIS. The government has constituted various committees at the national level. So these are the agencies which are going to play a very important role, which are given the responsibility of laying down norms and standards and help institutions operationalize the national skill qualification framework. Let us see what the National Education Policy 2020 talks about skilling. Skilling has been given a lot of prominence in the new policy. Policy has realized, that the benefit of the so-called demographic dividend that we have is not going to last forever. It is expected to last only for a couple of more years, and therefore we should not miss this opportunity. We need to equip our workforce with employable skills and knowledge so that our youth can participate productively to make us a developed economy. And having taken a note of it, the new policy aims to revolutionize Indian higher education to catch up with the global needs of the 21st century. The new policy has given us a hope to provide vocational orientation to education right from school level to higher education level. It has aimed to provide exposure to every child in at least one vocation commencing from the middle stage of school education right up to higher education. Policy has recommended that by 2025, at least 50% of students, both in school and higher education, would be given the exposure to vocational programs. And for that, the policy has envisaged that the possibilities of the open and distance learning mode would also be explored, and that the ministry would be coordinating with the various states. Policy has also recommended the revision of the National Skill Qualification Framework, which obviously would be required to creating some more levels. The National Skill Qualification Framework organizes qualifications according to a series of knowledge, skills, and aptitude. It provides links from one level of learning to another level of learning. It enables learners to progress to higher levels from any starting point. The National Skill Qualification Framework permits individuals to accumulate their knowledge and skills and convert them through testing and certification by the competent authorities into higher levels of educational certification in common parlance. The All India Council for Technical Education and the University Grants Commission, they have initiated many schemes for the skill development at the higher education level. There are various sector skill councils which have been set up by the National Skill Development Corporation, and they have laid down the qualification packs and the national occupational standards. For this, the National Education Policy proposed the development of National Credit Framework to ensure seamless integration of vocational education with general education. So, I mean, talk about the flexibility and the movement from one sector to another sector without any hindrances. And for that purpose, I mean, the University Grants Commission has brought out the National Credit Framework, which is a single meta framework to seamlessly integrate the credits earned through school education, higher education, and vocational and skill education. The National Credit Framework enables assignments, accumulation, storage, transfer, and redemption of credits. It allows multidisciplinary and holistic education through outcome-based approach. It supports existing qualification framework like the National Higher Education Qualification Framework and National Skill Qualification Framework. The National Credit Framework enables transformation of India by providing high-quality education opportunities integrated with effective skills at all levels to reap the demographic dividends. It establishes imaginative and flexible curricular structures, enabling creative combinations of discipline. It also provides for educational acceleration and recognition of prior learning, which was not there earlier. So this is also a very important document, and I would want you, I mean, to um, go through this national credit framework, which has been brought out by the UGC. It will help you in a big way insofar as your work is concerned. The UGC had introduced the scheme of community colleges in 2013 and 14. When I was there, we had supported a number of community colleges throughout the length and breadth of the country. We were also providing them financial assistance for the purposes of starting the programs and supporting the programs if they already have one. I'm not aware whether that scheme is still continuing and the UGC is still providing financial assistance to the institutions of higher learning for the community colleges. Even several universities had started the community colleges on their campuses, and they took advantage of that scheme. We had also set up the Koshal Kendras actually in 2015 and 16. And these centers were there to provide vertical mobility from short-term certificate courses to full-fledged degree programs or diploma programs. And the UGC has, in fact, if I remember, more than 200 or 250 such colleges were supported by the University Grants Commission. Several universities had launched the vocational degree programs during that time. And the National Skill Qualification Framework was also adopted by thousands of institutions. Now, the question arises, what is the way forward actually? How shall we handle it? I think we have talked about it a lot in the past, right from the colonial period till this date. But what we need to do is that we need to understand the reasons for the non-implementation of this important component of education, and what kind of things that we need to do. Let us reflect on that now. I would say that success of any program as a part of education is largely dependent upon the feeder cadre. If the foundation of vocational education at the school level continues to be poor, it will have its effect on the success of the program at the higher education level. If students are not provided proper counseling at the school stage, they may not be able to make informed choices as to which direction they should choose for their career. If programs are to be handled by the existing teachers without any proper orientation, then we will not reach anywhere. If our institutions remain disconnected with the social and physical realities where they exist, they will not be able to overcome the issue of mismatch of demand and supply. If the rigidity of the traditional system in terms of duration of courses, timings, place, and choice of subjects continues, it will not help propagate vocational programs. If the issue of establishing bridges between general education and vocational education uh, is not adequately addressed through transfer of credits, it will have serious social implications. And if the credibility and acceptability of vocational programs with the market continues to be poor, it will not enhance the prospects of employability. And if curriculum of the programs are not aligned with the national occupational standards and qualification packs, they will lose the comparability that is required internationally. The institutions have to necessarily establish a credit-based assessment and evaluation system for certification. It is important to establish linkages between educational institutions and industry to promote skill-based education through measures like model career centers, placement cells, industry academia interface, provisions of adjunct faculty, for which we will have to have different sets of qualifications, incubation centers for training of learners, and setting up of skill parks, etc. Although India has now a determined approach to provide skilled youth to contribute to their own career and country's socio-economic development, some of the initiatives require a greater focus. And since vocational education is a continuum from the school stage onwards, there is a need to underscore some specific concerns. The first concern is that there is a need to identify context-specific vocational program, including vocational programs for which the eligibility should be higher secondary pass and which would require the background of a university degree. So this is the first concern that should be addressed by all higher educational institutions. They should identify context-specific vocational programs which can be offered more conveniently in the northeastern sector of our country, may not be successfully implemented and offered in the coastal regions of our country. And therefore, we need to identify context-specific vocational programs. The second thing is that there is a need to specify the requirements of infrastructure in relation to vocational programs in terms of facilities for workshops and hands-on experience in an industry or related institution. We shall have to have proper infrastructure, and we shall have to identify that which component of the vocational program could be transacted through our campus and which component of the program will have to be transacted with the support, with the goodwill, support and cooperation of the related industry. And if that related industry is not available in the vicinity of our institution where we exist, then I think we'll have to think twice to launch that kind of a program. It would require mobilization of resources if we are to create new infrastructure for that kind of the program. The support should come. Our institutions are not in the position to mobilize additional resources. They are finding it hard insofar as the resources are concerned, and therefore the governments should come up with specific schemes for the purposes of helping institutions to offer the programs in vocational areas. There is also a need to identify which program could be offered in conventional institution and which would require a standalone institution. Some of the vocational programs would certainly require standalone institutions. They may not be offered from the existing campuses of the institution, sometimes because of the availability of a space or because of the availability of a specific kind of infrastructure, a specific kind of infrastructure in the form of the workshops, labs, those kinds of things. The another thing is that the curriculum of the program may be visualized in such a manner that it has four distinct parts: life skills, work skills, internship, and preparation of employment. And the fifth thing is that the course content and training component of the program may be so designed that they promote the generic abilities amongst these learners. We should not think that the vocational program should not promote creativity, analytical ability, the problem solving abilities, and those kinds of things. They are equally important. They are as important in vocational programs as in other. There is some disturbance
अनम्यूट
coming.
कर दीजिए सर, अनम्यूट कर
I
दीजिए
don't
बच्चे
know.
को।
The another thing is that all these programs may be made part of the community. I think we need to create we need to launch the awareness programs so that we can properly guide the students right from the school stage. We can let them know what are the future prospects of a particular vocation. These are the issues which call for strengthening of the existing vocational programs and introduction of more relevant programs besides their expansion throughout the length and breadth of the country. Vocational education at different stages of education, as envisaged in the policy, is the need of the hour in the context of problems of employment and underemployment that we have been suffering from. And that this need for vocational education gets further accentuated on account of the high percentage of exclusion and elimination from the formal system of education. The issues such as these can be addressed at a faster pace if both the departments of the ministry, luckily now we have the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, I mean, the department now. No, it's not a separate ministry now. It is under the Ministry of Education, which is a good thing. Earlier, we were having two separate ministries, one looking after education, another looking after the skill development. The bottom line is that the key ingredients for harnessing the demographic dividends depends upon designing and offering, I will say once again, and please remember that, context specific programs and creating awareness about their utility and employment prospects through resource centers, not only at the national level or at the regional level or at the district level, but we'll have to go down below the district level, at the sub-district level and the block level and at the panchayat level, if we are to popularize and if we are to empower our youth so that they can make a decent living. I would like to share one personal experience with you. Recently, I got an opportunity to visit the Facebook office complex. This was a very remarkable experience, and I happened to interact with a group of youngsters there. They were they were not the proud products of the MIT or I mean Harvard or Yale or Stanford or California or Berkeley or Chicago, but they are making good money actually, and they were not holding any degrees. So I was quite surprised when I asked them specifically, like we try to get into the personal life of the individuals actually. How are you? Are you married? Where from you did your schooling? Where from did you do your university education? Those kinds of things. So I was surprised to know that some of them were only high school graduates. Only high school graduates. They were not having the degree, formal degree. And and then when I interacted, when I tried to probe it further with my son, he told me that we do not care for degrees actually. We care for the skills. As long as you are able to perform our task, you are absolutely fine with us. Now, we need to create that kind of an awareness amongst the youth and also in the society. One can make a very decent living actually by acquiring the skills which are necessarily required in the modern world actually. And for which what we need is, we need counselors in our institutions who can provide proper counseling, who are very well conversant with the kinds of programs which are going to be the which are going to be there for some time to come. That is what is needed, and we do not have that kind of provision. We have not made that kind of a provision. I think we need to do that, be it an institution of higher education or be it a school. So we have to work on different fronts for the purposes of giving vocational orientation to education. I would like to reiterate some of the points once again. Please go through the National Skill Development Policy of 2015. Please go through, I mean, the National Credit Skill Qualification Framework. Go through the National Credit Framework. That will give you a good idea about the as to how we have to provide vocational orientation to education. Tomorrow, should you decide to offer a vocational program on the campus of your institution, You should look into the factors which I have reflected upon. You should get in touch with these various national level resource institutions which can help you in a variety of ways. You should also um, find out the opportunities wherefrom you can access additional resources for providing such programs. So these are the things which I thought that I would like to share with you insofar as giving vocational orientation to education is concerned. This is a wonderful opportunity, and in the larger interest of our country, I think we should lay greater emphasis on vocational education. And the goal that we have set in the new national education policy, that 50% of the students would be given exposure to vocational education at both levels, the school education and higher education level. It can be done only when we align our programs with the school education programs. It can be done only when we provide greater hand holding to the school education. Therefore, unless we make interventions at both the levels, it will not be a success story. We will continue to struggle like we have been struggling since 1947 until this day. So with this, I conclude, and I hand over the floor to Professor Abbasi if she is there,
Thank you. Yes, sir, sir. I've been here
or,
all the
or,
while, sir.
or,
Yes.
or, or Professor Shakir, actually.
No, no, no. I've
So
been here
over
all the
to
while.
you. If
Thank
if
you.
if you have any questions, I would like to take the questions from you.
Thank you very
I have referred to certain important documents. Please
Yes.
go through them. That
Yeah,
they will
definitely, sir.
provide you better idea insofar as this is concerned.
Thank you
Okay.
very
Okay.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
So it was such a pleasure listening to every word of it. You're talking about the skill qualification framework and also your visit to the Facebook
Uh,
team. Yes, one.
remarkable. Actually, I mean, we have such a courage of higher education. Actually,
Mhm.
uh, I think if we create the right kind of awareness amongst the society, we can make a big impact.
Absolutely,
Mm.
absolutely, yeah.
And
And
even sorry, go ahead.
I wanted to tell you, sir, that in AMU we started the community colleges
Oh,
back in 2013, as you were
oh,
mentioning.
you are the beneficiary of the UGC scheme then.
Thank you, sir.
Good,
Yes, yes.
good, good, good,
But
good.
now it kind of sometimes there are issues with the degree recognition and with the continuation of the staff, etc. Anyways, the UGC is taking it up with us, and
There should not be any issue insofar as degree recognition is concerned because the degree was specified during my time.
yes, sir, I remember.
Uh,
Mm.
of course,
But
I mean, there might be issues relating to the finances, but
yes,
not.
of course. Yes, issues related to finances are certainly there. That is why sometimes with the teachers' promotions and with the faculty regularization, sometimes there are certain issues.
Mhm.
But then students also they're ghirowing the VC office. I mean, 2 3 years back.
Okay.
I think Dr. Shakir will bear me out on this. He's also a warden in one of the halls of
Definitely.
residence, so he understands students' unrest. Yes,
Mhm.
but then it was very good that the university could become a beneficiary of the community college scheme.
Mhm.
We have more than 3 4 courses in this
Okay.
community college,
Mm.
and also, sir, we are one of those universities who do give admission to diploma engineering students in the regular engineering
Oh, okay,
course.
okay. That provision I said that it does exist in certain states
Yes,
wherein we
yes.
provide the lateral entries to the diploma holders and certificate holders. Yeah.
Yes, and we have two polytechnics, one for boys and another for women,
Mhm.
and many courses in these polytechnics.
Mhm.
Leather technology, and some of the teachers are also getting patents. in
Plus, Faiza, you also have an added advantage because you have your own school, you have
Hmm,
your own, I mean, community college, and then you
yes,
have the university. So
yes.
you are a very different kind of setup,
Yes, a universe in
and
itself, that university.
you can get more mileage actually out of it. Many institutions do not have that kind of situation which you have. Yeah,
Absolutely.
you are a very privileged institution.
Very privileged,
There are very few. There are very few like you.
historically as well as
Mm.
Sir, we
otherwise.
have 10 schools.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. Mm.
10 schools, and although we are a non-affiliating university, we do have 7 colleges. Uh,
Right, right.
includes a medical college and engineering college, and a
Mhm.
long history of
Oh,
struggles.
this is
Yes,
because of the historical background of
exactly,
the Aligarh Muslim University.
exactly.
So is the case with the Allahabad University. Allahabad is also a not affiliating university, but there
Mm,
are about, I mean, during my time, I think there were 11 colleges or 12 colleges historically with Allahabad University.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
Yes, these universities, of course.
Mhm, mhm.
Yes, so thank you, sir. This was an eye-opening session. I believe Dr. Shakir would like to conduct the question-answer session if there are. Dr.
Yes.
Shakir, it's over to you.
Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Participants, if you have any observation, any doubt, or not doubt, but any observation, any clarification you want on anything, on any issue, you can raise your hand. Yes. Or if you want to say anything, G. Vineet sir. Yes, Vineet sir.
यस
Vineet sir, go ahead. Yes.
या गुड मॉर्निंग सर। मेरी एक जानकारी थी कि जैसे आपने कहा कि वहाँ पर फेसबुक पर के ऑफिस में वो ज़्यादा ग्रेजुएट नहीं थे, लेकिन मुझे एक कहानी याद आ रही है कि आइंस्टीन बोस जब आए थे यहाँ पर, तो आइंस्टीन के साथ उन्होंने काम किया था, तो यहाँ कनाडा यूनिवर्सिटी में उनका अपॉइंटमेंट नहीं हो रहा था, तो फिर उन्होंने कहा था आइंस्टीन को कि आप एक लिख के दीजिए कि इन्होंने मेरे साथ काम किया है, जो फिर उन्होंने लिख के दिया कि मतलब मुझे आश्चर्य लग रहा है कि भारत में नौकरी जो है योग्यता के आधार पर नहीं, डिग्री के आधार पर मिलती है। तो सर आप यदि
Mhm.
50 या 100 साल पहले यदि ये चीज देखें, ये हुई है, लेकिन आज भी तो ऐसा नहीं हो रहा है। और फिर यदि फेसबुक में नौकरी जॉब मिल जा रही होगी, लेकिन आज जो बच्चे निकल रहे हैं बिना उनको ग्रेजुएट डिग्री की नौकरी कहाँ मिल रही है?
वही तो चीज है ना. We will have to create some such systems.
हेलो।
See, I'm talking of the private sector. Private sector is going to engage is going to absorb large number of people in the times to come, because the opportunities in the government sectors are depleting day by day, and the private sector would not bother about the degrees. That is what I have tried to convey with that after that interaction and with that experience. So if they can get $300,000 a year here in the Facebook or in the Google or in the Cisco or in Tesla, they would not like to go in for college education or higher education. They are very well off. That is the point that I was trying to make. And the world is shaping towards that. The government का जो दायरा है, that is shrinking all over the world. Okay, very few activities will remain with the government. Very few activities in times to come. The economy is going to
यस सर।
force the economy is going to force the government to switch over to that mode actually. गवर्नमेंट का जॉब सिर्फ गवर्नेंस का रहे और बाकी काम जो है वो पब्लिक का रहे, तो उस तरीके से the economy will develop. The economy is developing like that only, and those sectors would not bother about the degrees actually. They what they would want is that you have the skills through on the basis of which you can deliver in time, you can perform at the highest level, and that's it. That is what the people are looking for now in the private sector. There's nothing like government here in the US. Sorry, I should not be saying that. I mean, insofar as the job market is concerned, job market, very few jobs are available with the government.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Pallavi
and
ma'am, you can.
that is what
Pallavi,
is happening, and that is what is happening in our country also. Where are the jobs with the government? Okay. We were lucky actually that we were supported by the public system at that point in time. But now you look at the education sector itself. Now more than 65% enrollment in the private institutions today.
yes.
We did not have those kinds of private institutions during our time. We either have the government institutions or government aided institutions. But now, I mean, government aided and government institutions are outranked by the private institutions.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Now, Pallavi ma'am, you can ask your question, ma'am. Pallavi ma'am. Yes.
Good evening, Dr. Ved Prakash.
Good evening, Bete.
So, am I audible today?
Yes, you are. You are.
So, thank you for the very
Please.
informative session. It was very interesting. I made a lot of notes from what you spoke. So, I just have one observation I would like to add to what you said about the incident at Facebook is uh, we have to be careful in generalizing such things. I think when we say that degrees do not matter, because what you rightly mentioned about Facebook is a very handful of people who are very
Yeah.
high level programmers and coders.
Mhm.
These are the people who don't have degrees but still have a high level job. We are only talking about a very specific skill set, which is
Yes.
programming and coding. And they are mostly self taught because at such high level which is not taught at the universities, and they try to train themselves with different models which are coming up. So in fact, in a lot of sectors, degrees become more important than skill. जैसा हम इकोनॉमिक्स में पढ़ते हैं सर, वो सिग्नलिंग का कॉन्सेप्ट हम पढ़ते हैं सर इकोनॉमिक्स में, सिग्नलिंग, डिग्रीज ऑफ सिग्नलिंग. तो आपने बिल्कुल सही कहा सर कि ये जो फेसबुक में है सर या गूगल में है, ये बहुत ही लिमिटेड सेट है सर. एक बहुत ही कम लोग हैं जो सिर्फ मतलब इनका जो फील्ड है ये भी हाई लेवल प्रोग्रामिंग और कोडिंग का है सर. तो ये आपने सही कहा, लेकिन क्या हम ये जनरलाइज कर सकते हैं? शायद हम नहीं कर सकते सर.
Pallavi,
आप क्या सोचते हैं इस बारे में सर? व्हाट आर योर
Pallavi,
थॉट्स?
Pallavi ji, you are such a fine brain that I couldn't agree more with you. वही कल वाली बात कि 100% मैं आपसे सहमत हूँ. Nothing could be generalized insofar as education is concerned. Context takes precedence over everything else insofar as education is concerned. I have said that whilst choosing a program, we should look for the physical and social conditions where we exist. What are the requirements of the society? What kind of workforce do we require? Okay. You see your own context. I'll take you back to 80s or early 90s. When we were invaded by the technological advancements, universities were not coming forward. They were not offering the technology-related programs. And because of the ambivalent attitude of the university system, do you remember that NIIT and AppTech, they came into the market, they made fortunes, they were not offering the degree programs, they were not seeking recognition from the AICT and the University Grants Commission. They set up their own small centers and started offering the 3-year certificate program, 6 months diploma program, 9-month diploma program. And they equipped boys and girls who were absorbed by the market, and they made a decent living without having a degree. This has happened in our own country actually. But that too can also not be generalized. Okay, so You are very right. We cannot make that kind of generalization because these multinational agencies require different set of skills. Okay, but they are also the part of the society. And if they can do it, and if people can make an entry into these institutions, into these organizations, and can stand on their own feet, similarly, insofar as the requirements of other sectors are concerned, other industries are concerned, I think we should anticipate what kind of skills and competencies would be required in those sectors, and try to equip our children with those kinds of skill sets. That is what I was trying to say, and which is why I have given you your own example. I mean, you must be a very young girl at that point in time, but it has happened before my eyes. And IIT was not bothering for any kind of recognition. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Right. You are.
Okay, thank you, Pallavi ma'am. Thank you, sir. Any other participant? Acha, Marina Islam, I think. Yes. Yes, Marina ma'am. Marina ma'am, you have raised your hand.
Yeah, hello. Am I
Yes,
audible?
yes, you are
Yes.
Yeah,
audible.
yeah. Good evening, sir.
Good evening,
So,
Marina.
तो मैं जो कहना चाहती थी, जो रूरल इंडिया है, बेसिकली आई एम फ्रॉम आसाम, तो हमने देखा जो बच्चों के यूथ में बहुत सारे स्किल डेवलपमेंट एक्टिविटीज है, जो but they were not aware of the schemes and other, and there is no such vocational training center in our area also. तो जो केन वर्क है, जूस वर्क है, या बहुत सारे कभी कभार हम कॉलेज में जैसे एग्जीबिशन कराते हैं, तो इनका जो इनर टैलेंट है वो आउटकम हो जाता है, लेकिन they are not aware of, and we are not giving so much importance to this skill development activities here. So वही चीज जो आपने बोला था कि पंचायत लेवल से भी हमको अवेयर करना है, पीपल शुड देयर एक्टिविटीज, देयर टैलेंट शुड कम इनटू आउट देयर. सो उसमें मैं एग्री करती हूँ, जो रूरल इंडिया उसमें स्किल डेवलप बच्चों का, हमारे यहाँ जो स्कूल्स में हम समर कैंप कराते हैं, लेकिन उनके जो अंदर जब बच्चे छोटे हैं माँ बाप के साथ काम करते हैं, उसमें केन की दुकान में काम कर रहे माँ बाप उनके साथ रह रहे, जो उनका जो एक्टिविटीज है मोर देन द अर्बन बच्चे होते हैं. तो वही चीज के दे, बट दे आर नॉट अवेयर ऑफ दिस स्कीम्स एंड अदर एक्टिविटीज. तो
हाँ,
वही चीज.
ये मैरिना जी, मैंने आपसे ये भी कहा है कि देखिए, मैंने आई हैव आल्सो टॉक्ड अबाउट द रिकॉग्निशन ऑफ प्रायर लर्निंग. उसका प्रोविजन हम लोगों ने इसमें रखा है विद व्यू टू एंश्योरिंग द सीमलेस ट्रांजिशन फ्रॉम वोकेशनल साइड टू जनरल साइड एंड जनरल साइड टू वोकेशनल साइड. और ये जो मैंने ट्रेडिशनल वे की बात की है कि ट्रेडिशनली किस तरीके से हम ह्यूमन रिसोर्स डेवलपमेंट को हमने हैंडल किया कर रहे हैं, उसमें ये सिस्टम जाने वाला नहीं है. इट विल कंटिन्यू. But what we need to do is that we need to create enabling conditions so that these children get certified, and they also get an opportunity to transit from one vocation to another vocation. देखिए, कुछ vocations तो बिल्कुल खत्म होते जा रहे हैं. ये भी तो देखिए ना आप. As the society is advancing, some of the vocations are not there.
Yeah.
In our village, we used to have the carpenters. I don't find any carpenter in my village today.
Yeah.
वो सारा का सारा जो काम है, which the carpenter would do in the village,
अभी मशीन कर लेता है बहुत
अब वो
सारे
मशीन कर लेता है. अब कहीं बैल नहीं है, कहीं हल नहीं है, सब काम ट्रैक्टर से होने लगा. कारपेंटर की आवश्यकता नहीं है. चारपाई लोहे की बनने लगी.
फैक्ट्री बैम्बूस के फैक्ट्री के काम अभी मशीन कर रहा है.
तो some sectors will emerge. I mean, new job opportunities will continue to emerge. Some of the old activities are going to die down. That is the reality of life. This is how the society evolves. it's hard to say it evolves for the better, it evolves for the worse. That is a philosophical question. But we have made an attempt through the platforms that we have envisaged and we have created, and we are likely to strengthen them to take care of the prior learning experiences of the children. You have very rightly said, the children in the rural sectors get involved in their in those activities at a very early age, and most of their time get consumed in these activities, as a result of which they get pushed out of the conventional system of education. Nobody wants to leave school. Nobody wants to leave college. I mean, if they leave, the responsibility lies on the system.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, and this is the problem which I have also highlighted, that large number of people are engaged in the unorganized sectors, and we have not been able to map up the skill requirements of the people engaged in the unorganized sector. That also we need to do.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Marina ma'am. Any other participant? Marina ma'am? Any other participant, please, if you have any observation, anything you want to ask from sir? Okay. Sir, I think
Professor A, thank you so
now,
much.
thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Participant, we were interacting with the reservoir of knowledge, Professor Ved Prakash, sir.
Yes, sir.
The light of
नहीं
knowledge.
No, I
Yes, sir.
completely
Indeed,
agree
you
with
are.
Zakir, of course.
Indeed,
नहीं,
sir.
yes,
Yes, sir.
ऐसा मत बोलो
Thank you.
शकील.
Sir, you have given us time. That too, you are interacting with us from America. How it is difficult, because right now I think there it is 5:30 a.m. and we are 6:47 p.m. But we were interacting with the help of technology. So thank you once again, sir, for giving us time on behalf of our academic staff college, MMTTC Center. We are
Yes.
very grateful to you. Thank you very much, sir, once again.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you very much, sir. You have
Thank
a
you,
good
sir.
day.
Thank you, sir.
And now
Thank you,
that
sir.
you are about to come back to India, we wish you a very safe travels. And we will see
I-
you. Yes.
I wish you all the very best, and let me share something with you while leaving. This is a quote from John Gardner.
Mm-hmm.
I might miss. I'm saying it quote, but it may not be exactly the same. I might have forgotten or missed some part of it, but let me make an attempt.
Yeah.
Okay.
The spirit will be conveyed, sir.
Yes, the message would be conveyed shortly. Oh, I promised that I would be talking about. Did I talk to you about Akbar's letter to Jahangir?
No, that part was missed, sir. You had promised yesterday.
Okay, all right. So, right. So let me start with Akbar first.
Okay.
And I gave you the title of the book, The Emperor's Writings.
Yes.
By Dirk Collier. मैं सबको रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा. आई एम नॉट द agent of the publisher, but I liked the book very much, and it teaches you everything in life, what you need in this lifetime. Such a beautiful book, though it's a fiction, but a lot of research work has gone into it, so you also come to know about the reality that was prevailing during Akbar's time. So Akbar writes a letter to his son. वीरेंद्र सुनो अब ध्यान से. जलेबी की तरफ मत ध्यान रखो, अब सुनो इसको. तो अकबर, पल्लवी भी गायब हो गई अब कहीं. ये तुम्हारे सबके लिए है.
नहीं सर, सुन रहे हैं हम लोग.
I'm still here. I'm listening.
Okay.
So I have searched that book on Amazon.
Okay, The Emperor's Writings. Okay. Yes. Yes. It's a beautiful book. और कितनी कीमत है इसकी? 2,999. nahi,
Yeah.
nahi.
Almost 3,000. Almost
I
3,000.
bought it for 600 rupees.
So that must be the hardcover. I think the
ये
paperback
hardbound है, paperback है 600 का sir,
हाँ
paperback.
हाँ
होगा
हाँ
paperback.
हाँ 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 मेरे पास 2 कॉपीज हैं, किसी को बोरो करनी है तो कर लेना।
बिल्कुल सर, आप इंटर्नशिप लाइए इंडिया।
लोन लोन पर। तो
Yeah.
उसमें अकबर लिखता है अपने लड़के को, जहांगीर को, कि माय डियर जहांगीर, आई नो दैट you are very restless person and that you want to become a king. But you do not know that a king has to conquer himself first before becoming the king. My dear Jahangir, there are people in this world who are mad in search of knowledge. And those who acquire knowledge, 99% of them do not know that there is also something higher than knowledge, and that is what is known as wisdom. And those who acquire wisdom, 99.99% of them do not know that there is also something higher than wisdom, and that is what is known as truth. My dear Jahangir, I want you to follow those who are in search of knowledge, emulate those who are in search of wisdom, but be wary of those who claim to have found the truth. Because truth is the ultimate possession of Allah. Unquote. As teachers, I think we need to understand that knowledge is different from wisdom, and wisdom is certainly different from truth. And I would relate this with one example. In US, in early times, actually, what was happening, that the fuel which was used to run the cars, it used to create the knocking problem in the engine. So the oil industry, they identified a scientist, Patterson, and gave this tasks to him to help them overcome this knocking problem of the engine. It's a big story, but I will cut it short. So Patterson used the lead, ethyl acetate lead, I think the name of the chemical compound was, and he overcame the problem of knocking. And that company made fortunes, actually. But it was realized by the people that those who were working in that industry, they started developing all kinds of problems, health problems. And some of them started suffering from cancer and heart ailments and those kinds of things. So while Patterson used wisdom to overcome the knocking problem of the engine, but the kind of harm he had inflicted on the humanity was humongous, actually. So many a time, wisdom can be very, very fatal. And it was realized by the world at much later a stage. And as a result of which, the countries started using lead-free fuel. But by that time, the damage was done. And the lead seeped into the lives of the human beings to the extent that even the marine species were not uh, uh, free from that menace. The lead was found in large quantity in the sea, and I mean, people were consuming that in the form of food. So many a time, I mean, we use our intellect, we find solutions of the problems, but we do not understand the consequences. Similar thing had happened when Oppenheimer developed the atom bomb. I mean, he was the director of the Manhattan Project. That is also a very long story. But later on, I mean, when this was done and when Oppenheimer meets Einstein, Einstein got worried. In fact, he wrote a letter to the then President Eisenhower at that time that as a world leader, you must intervene and we should refrain from developing this deadly weapon of mass destruction. But nothing has happened. Countries after countries acquired it. And this is the world now we are living in. So it is not true that the wisdom is always good. Wisdom ought to be used very, very carefully. This is the example which I wanted to share with you. And Akbar said it to his son much before Patterson's time. And see, he was a great scientist. He solved one problem but created multiple problems for the humanity. So this is one thing that I wanted to share with you. The another thing, let me, since I had started that John Gardner thing, let me share that thought also with you, which is very apt and good for everyone, people of my age or people of Pallavi's age or Shakir's age. It's equally important. And I start quoting, "The things that we need to learn in maturity are not simple things like acquiring information and knowledge from the books. We need to learn not to burn our energy in anxiety. We need to learn that self-pity and diffidence are amongst the most toxic of drugs. We need to learn how to manage our tensions. We need to learn that the world loves talent but rewards character. We need to learn that most of the people in this world are neither for you nor against you. They are busy in themselves. We need to learn that no matter how hard you try to please, some people in this world are not going to love you. A lesson which is very troubling at the first instance, but once you know it, it is very relaxing." Unquote. So I thought that I would like to share these two things with you. Now with this, I wish all of you all the very best and great good luck. I would request all of you to read a lot. This is one-time opportunity given to us. Don't confine yourself only to your area of specialization. Basically, I am a chemist, but I'm still very incomplete and highly inadequate. But I switched over to literature at a later part of my life. And then I realized that what I was missing. So I would request you to create a good library at your place of work. दूसरी चीजों पर पैसा कम खर्च करो. फैंकी फोन्स, बड़ी कारें, बड़ा घर। हर व्यक्ति की लाइफ में ऐसा समय आता है जब उसको अच्छी लाइब्रेरी एक घर पर डेवलप करो। बाय बुक्स, ज्यादा नहीं खरीद सकते तो मेक इट ए पॉइंट, एक्चुअली दैट शुड बी योर मिशन। और पढ़ो, खूब पढ़ो, दैट विल गिव यू द जॉय दैट यू डिजर्व।
It's amazing.
हाँ, और ये it is very difficult to find happiness on this planet, but you have to find it, you have to search it. और एक लास्ट चीज आपसे ये कहना चाहूंगा मैं कि the greatest happiness lies in to love and to be loved. सबके साथ करो, treat every individual with dignity, don't discriminate people. It's a meanness actually. और अपने पास के स्कूलों में जाओ, because you are a university professor, you are seen with an awe actually. People admire people who work in the higher education sector. Go and interact with the children, go and talk to the teachers, go uninvited. Create the kind of awareness which is needed. Educate them so that we can cement confidence in one another. ये काम करो. You are a very fortunate person to have entered into this profession, which is considered to be the noblest profession. तो जाने से पहले leave something behind actually, so that you are known in your society. You may not be able to do it on a wider scale, but if you do it at a smaller scale, that will make an impact. So as a university professor, go and interact, talk to the principal, seek an audience, and tell him or her that you would like to interact with the children there. और बच्चों को अच्छी इस तरीके की बातें बताओ. Tell them the significance of early goal setting. It has got enormous value actually. We did not know anything. We were not aware of anything until we passed out from the university. So we need to create awareness in the minds of the children so that we can be a better society and we can make it a happier place. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So memorable.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I must say, memorable indeed. Everyone has taken notes, precious notes that are going to guide us all for a very long time. Thank you so much. And as it is rightly said, a teacher's impact never stops. It goes towards eternity. So this session has certainly gone into making your impact go towards eternity and enabling us also, all of us.
Thank
So
you.
all the best of our regards, sir. You
Okay.
have a good day. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you very much. Wish you all the very best.
Thank you,
Great,
sir. Thank you.
great good luck.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you, sir.
Saibam.
Thank you, participants.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sir,
Thank you, sir.
We will meet tomorrow at 3:45 once again for the first session of tomorrow at 3:45 p.m.
सर आज
Thank you very-
टेस्ट हो गया सर आज टेस्ट होगा क्या
No,
ओके सर मैं प्रिपेयर था
second test will be on the last day.
ओके सर
Actually, first day and the last day. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
आप जलेबी की
Okay,
तैयार रखिए बस.
ठीक है सर
सारे लोग एक बार मिलके खाने चलेंगे.
कभी ना कभी तो आएंगे. Thank you.
जी डन.
बिल्कुल सर
Thank you, participants, for asking questions. Because your questions are making this program very interactive. Thank you, Pallavi ma'am. Thank you, Ram sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we will meet once again.
Thank you, sir, for coordinating.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening.
जी बाय गुड नाइट. हैव अ ग्रेट.
गुड इवनिंग सर. कुछ नाम सर लिस्ट में नहीं है, मेरा नाम नहीं है सर.
दिनेश सर बोल रहे हैं?
जी जी
दिनेश
जी सर जी
you will have to contact Mazhar Bhai or Rajesh Chauhan. Their numbers are in the group. Okay.
ओके श्योर सर
Okay. Thank you.
ओके थैंक यू सर